Greetings in the Messiah Yahwah, whom the King James Bible says Christ Jesus. And we do appreciate each and every one of you who has taken your time tuning in this program. And we believe it to be a real blessing to you. At the end of the broadcast, we'll give you an address, telephone number, how to receive free information. We're going to be turning over, matter of fact, to the book of Acts 4 and 12. I've been thinking a little bit about what's been happening here in America. How the government in America looks like are trying to justify homosexuality and that kind of marriage. You know, it's a sin. It's a sin for any nation to accept anything like that. And it's being accepted. From the high officials in the White House. And you take Israel. If a nation doesn't back Israel up, they're going to find themselves in some trouble. The Bible tells us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And matter of fact, last week in the broadcast, we were talking about Israel actually is where the gospel come from. And that's what we want to be talking about in this broadcast. Reading in the book of Acts here, Acts 4:12, we read this last week. We have to have a witness. And I have before me what is known as a Tanack. Some will call it the Ketuvei Kodesh, known as the Holy Scriptures. In other words, this is the Old Testament written in Hebrew that I have in my hand. From Genesis, of course, Hebrew reads from right to left. From Genesis to Malachi, it gives witness to a name. And now this is the name that it gives witness to, right here. Nearly 7,000 times. This name has been written in the original Hebrew Scriptures. For me to understand Acts 4:12, I've got to understand how did Acts 4:12 get here. I've got to understand when it deals in Acts 4:12, when it deals with a name, N-A-M-E, what name is it talking about? See, a lot of times we just take our Bible and just read it. We have to understand when these verses are being dealt with, such as Acts 4:12, where it uses the word name. This here gives witness to this. This here gives witness to this. When the true Messiah that walked on the face of this earth, nearly 2,000 years ago, he had to give witness of Scripture. Now, let's read the book of Acts 4:12 here. It says, neither is there salvation in any other. Understanding this now. Understanding that the book of Acts 4:12 was not there at the time that it was said. And a lot of people don't understand this. Understand that on the day of Pentecost, you didn't have all these denominations that you have today. You didn't have all these organizations that you have today. You didn't have everybody believing what they wanted to believe. They say today people don't backslide. They just change churches. So when we understand Acts 4 and 12, first of all, if you'll read this, you'll understand, first of all, the plan of salvation was first given to Israel. Then to the Gentiles, are known in Hebrew as the Goyim. So when I read the 4th chapter, the 12th verse of the book of Acts 4:12, if I just read the whole chapter of the whole book of Acts, you'll see how it put emphasis to Israel. And the reason why I'm saying this is because what's being taught today is that the church and Israel is separate, and they're not. The only separation is that when Israel didn't accept their Messiah, that's the difference. The Messiah that the church is supposed to be accepting today, it's the same one that Israel was given the message to first. In other words, on the day of Pentecost. Pentecost in Hebrew is known as Shavuot. It took 7 weeks from the time that the Messiah resurrected. He was in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. When He resurrected on that 3rd day, 50 days later, the word Shavuot actually means weeks. So if you have weeks and 7 weeks of, which is going to be 49 days, because there are 7 days in a week, divide it 7 times, that gives you 49 days, and then the next day is the completeness of Shavuot, which would bring you into the 50th day. If you can understand this, it was strictly dealing with Israel at that time. Israel had the plan of salvation without a written New Testament. What did they have? They had this. When the true Messiah walked on the face of this earth nearly 2,000 years ago, He said, I come in my Father's name. Now, if we really understand this and understand what He says, let me read something here to you real quick. In the book of St. John 5:39, St. John 5:39, the Messiah said this. He says, search the Scriptures. Now, this by itself is a message, just by itself, getting you who believes in a Messiah that died 2,000 years ago, getting you to understand that that Messiah that died 2,000 years ago was not given first to the Gentiles. He was given to Israel first. This, Tanack, was given as a witness of this true Messiah. So when the book of Acts that we find, the book of Acts written, they didn't have a red letter edition King James Bible. They didn't have the original 1611 King James Bible. They didn't have the written Greek New Testament. A witness. The name of Jesus was never witnessed in this. When you go to the original 1611 King James Bible, you find Jesus, I-S-U-S. It was never witnessed to this. When you go back to the Greek form, the I-S-O-U-S, Jesus, was never witness to this. Once you begin to understand this, when the Messiah said in St. John 5:39, search the Scriptures. What was he talking about? He's talking about this, because this gave witness to this, and this gave witness to this. Let me read you something else here. Remember this, search the Scriptures. Now, I'm going to jump down to St. John 5:43. He says, I am come in my Father's name. Now, this is the Messiah doing the talking. Now, when he says, I am come in my Father's name, what name was he talking about? This. People will say today, well, he only come in that authority of that name. Well, now let's look at this for a minute. If that Messiah said, I come in the authority of the Father's name, then he acknowledges, and you would acknowledge, if you believe it that way, that the Messiah come into the authority of a name that you're being taught nobody knows. Nobody can say. Nobody can write. Now listen to this again. When you read this verse in St. John 5:43, now remember, this verse in where he says, I come in my Father's name, it's dealing with a name, N-A-M-E. The only plan of salvation, this is a challenge to anyone that's listening to this program that can disprove this. The plan of salvation was never given in J-E-S-U-S, Jesus, which was written in the 1769 edition King James Bible. The plan of salvation was never given in I-E-S-U-S, which was known as Jesus in the original 1611 King James Bible. And the I-E-S-O-U-S, which is known as Jesus, the plan of salvation was never given in that. You do some studying and you search this out. How has all these different names come in and this has been done away with? When all the prophets, according to the Scripture, this here is the witness to this. This here never witnessed no other name. This here never witnessed the name of Yeshua or the name of Yehoshua being given for the plan of salvation. Even though the word Yehoshua means Yah's salvation. Matter of fact, Yeshayahu means the salvation of Yah, or the salvation of Yahoo. Going back to this again, St. John 5:43, where it says, I am come in my Father's name. People will say, well, the Son has a different name than the Father, but He only come in the authority of the Father's name. So if you believe that, that's good, because at least you're acknowledging that there is an authority in a name. Then if that's authority in a name, then you have to acknowledge that a name that you have authority in, that you can come in, has to be said, has to be written, and cannot be hid, and nobody knows it. You cannot have a name that has authority to it that you can't say. That would make no sense. I said that makes no sense. if that Messiah come in a different name than this, then there is a problem. And the reason why is because the only name that was given and used according to the Tanack was this. This was the only Savior that Israel ever had. This was the only rock that Israel ever had. St. John 5:39, let me continue reading this. Remember, all this is going to fit in Acts 4:12. St. John 5:39 says, search the Scriptures. Now, as you're listening to this broadcast, and I'm going to ask you a question, show me the Scriptures on what you know as the Scriptures. What are you being taught as the Scriptures? A lot of people think that just because they're reading the King James Bible written New Testament as Scripture. No. When you understand when the Messiah said, St. John 5:39, when he says search the Scriptures, you know what he's talking about? It'd be like you have your King James Bible. You have an Old Testament and you have the New Testament. It would be going straight back to the Old Testament just like this. When you go back to the Old Testament in the King James Bible and you see the word Lord, capital letters, which is Lord, and the word God in capital letters, which is God, and also the word Jehovah that's used 7 times, this is really there in this. As I've said many times, when they see this, they would say either Elohim. But they would see this, but they would just say Elohim. Just like when they would see this in certain places. They say the word Adonai, but they see this. In the King James Bible, when you see the word Jehovah 7 times, this is really what's written there. When you take your King James Bible Old Testament and you see the word Lord, capital letters, this is really supposed to be there. And you see the word God in capital letters, this is really supposed to be there. And the churches are being taught totally different than what was taught by the early assembly. It's understanding Scripture. That's really what it mounts up to, understanding Scripture. Let me go back over to the book of Acts again. Acts 4:12. It says, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. As we said in the other broadcast, you're going to fit in the category of either being oneness or Trinity. I said you're either going to be oneness or Trinity. Before I go there, I want to read you something about the history of the Septuagint. I get on this quite a bit. We have different people listen to this program, and about every week there is somebody that's new that tunes in and finds that we're on the program. The word Septuagint, that's what we're fixing to deal with. Now, right here, let me show you something here. This is what is known as the Septuagint. I show this quite a bit. This one here, I've got a little different picture than what I've been using. understand that the Scriptures, when the Messiah walked on the face of this earth nearly 2,000 years ago, they had the Scriptures. When I say Scriptures, I'm talking about written in Hebrew. Now, let me show you something here that I've got. I'm sort of jumping back and forth, but by doing this, I believe it'll be a blessing to you. Hebrew itself. This here is what they call pictograph. They call it today pictograph Hebrew. This is still a Yud Hey Wav Hey. Then this was used up, they say, roughly around 14 BC. Around Moses' time. Then after that, then the Paleo-Hebrew. This is still known as a Yud Hey Wav Hey. So you've got the first phase known pretty much as pictograph Hebrew. There's a picture within each in these letters here. Then it moved into what you would call the middle script, or what some call the Paleo. Now let me stop right here. You see this Paleo. All right, going back to what we were talking about, the Septuagint. Let's deal with what the Septuagint is. Remember, our whole purpose is understanding the name that's in the book of Acts 4:12. And also St. John 5:43, when the Messiah said, I come in my Father's name. This is what you would call the Septuagint. All right, now let me maybe paint you a picture here. Here is the Old Testament written in Hebrew. This Old Testament written in Hebrew is from Genesis to Malachi. The Hebrew reads from right to left. When you really begin to search this out, you've got to understand that this Paleo is pretty much in the beginning was what is known our Scriptures was written in. And then we'll go a little bit farther in a minute, but I want to put some emphasis on this. When the Hebrew Scriptures were written, the ones that understood Hebrew, because first of all, the Creator of heaven and earth was dealing with Abraham. And we understand that Abraham, or Abraham, didn't have an Old Testament like what we have. We understand that later on, after it went through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are known as Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, whose name was changed to Yisrael. Then that seed began to multiply. And then, of course, we understand that Yahweh had already told Abraham that his seed would go into bondage for 400 years, between 400 and 430 years. You have to understand the time frame of it. But then, this here, after that seed come out, Yahweh began to give them the priest and set up everything. Then they come through the wilderness, things begin to be written. Yet the prophets were given to them. So the Old Testament, what we know today, we call it the Old Testament. In Hebrew, it's known as Dam Barit, known as blood covenant, because they used the blood of the animals in the Old Testament. When you begin to look at the picture of this and understand that the Old Testament that was written was majority written in this Paleo script. Understand this. Then later on, after they come out of Babylon, they picked up this script, but they still stayed with this script. And we'll deal with this, whether it's in this broadcast or the next broadcast. Once you begin to understand this, you understand that there was some, what they would call Greek-speaking Jews in Alexandria, Egypt. The Septuagint is derived from a Latin word known as 70, or the 70. It was written, this is part of the script that they have found, and what is so amazing about this is that this Septuagint, everything they took, in other words, what they done, they took the Old Testament and wrote it in Greek and sent it to the Greek-speaking Jews. The only part of this that was not written in Greek was this. Or let's say it this. This, matter of fact, you probably can't see it, but right here is this written in that script. I said this was found in this. Everything was written in Greek, but when it come to the name, they would not write the name in a Greek, using Greek letters. We'll be dealing with this on the Septuagint in the next broadcast. I feel like this is so important, but it does look like our time is or has come and gone. We have a CD called The Father's Name and Literature we send out along with it. We also have a prayer cloth that we send out. And like I said, we have a CD called The Father's Name and Literature that we send out. And we believe it'll be a blessing to you. And also, if you need prayer, you can call us. We do come on at the same time every week. The time that you're listening to us now. So it does look like our time has come and gone. We do appreciate each and every one of you that has taken your time. We appreciate you. We love you. So till the next broadcast, same time, shalom.
You have just heard Hour of Truth with Brother Jerry. If you would like a copy of today's broadcast on DVD, of prayer cloth or other information, phone 770-784-0703 or write 775 McDonald Road, Covington, Georgia 30014. Until next week, we bid you shalom.